Last time we talked about anything, anything. Ghost just was such. Anytime we've ever talked about anything on this channel, I have had a hesitancy of feeling like it'll get lost within what's popular, which for me right now are politics segments. I don't only do that. So I also do things like talk about emotional stuff. So I kind of want to talk about emotional availability. And I'm going to say a lot of bomb shit. So if you're watching this on somewhere that's not where I'm streaming live, um, listen for 5 minutes. Why don't you? Even though I'm probably going to take 25, who knows? In this in this day and age, I've always had this weird like I want to say attention span towards wanting to reach out to other people. And I realized that right when the pandemic hit, people had to hit you up on the voice thing and the Zoom and the Discord, and everybody wanted to play Jackbox, and everybody wanted to, oh, let's play video games together. We got plenty of time. It's very funny that our first response to COVID was a traumatic bonding. I don't think anybody can deny that the first few weeks when we found out that this virus was in the United States, shit didn't feel right. There was this general uneasiness that caused us all to kind of reflect inwards whether we wanted to or not. Things that we were using to keep us busy, things that we thought we enjoyed, we actually had to examine whether or not we liked them, because for a lot of things we couldn't do them anymore. For me, I liked going out and playing table tennis. Like, I can't go out and play table tennis anymore. There was an unseen risk that we all just got added to our lives. And I think not enough people have talked about this side of COVID recovery. So, this is, I guess, part of a series. I want to talk to you about living after COVID, even though we're not even post yet, but the emotional side. Because we could easily get into the physical side, but I think other people have done that well enough. When we form relationships, we form them on the basis of understanding that there is something to be given from this relationship and there is something to be gotten. As you know, you probably feel very slighted when any relationship feels one sided. Why put an effort towards somebody when they're not returning it? This is basic culture, especially in America, for the sake of it. When we re examine what we feel as a relationship in this era, we have to redefine who are our most important reasons for going out, because I don't think a lot of people mention this, but there was that inherent risk that you are quite possibly about to cause a chain reaction in necessity of human companionship. And that is selfish, but required. These things that we want to reclaim and go back to normalize are things to help us reclaim our identity as we've grown up. This is a, yes, you can say it too, paradigm shift. Our thought process changed, and we were not given any tools to help ease the transition and how we reevaluate the people around us, because now it became a guessing game of, does this person even believe the virus exists? Being thrust into the online space, that made us reevaluate our relationships because we had more time to pay attention to what they were saying. More people were able to put more eyes on the negative because there wasn't really anything positive to be held onto, because nothing was happening. It was a neutral state. The first 2 weeks, though, those weeks were golden. Hey man, now that I've got time, meet me on PlayStation. I joined a PlayStation party for the first time in my life in 2020. But paradigm, you're just stating things. This is deep or whatever, but where's the point? Okay, here's number one. No matter how stable you think you are, depending on who you are. That's definitely a depending on, because I've definitely passed this already, because that's why I'm talking about it. Depending on who you are, um, in terms of emotional stability, or more likely the idea of being alone, you probably never got enough time to process that people weren't leaving your life, everyone was just separating. And we live in this very advanced culture of knowledge where the updates are consistent with what we expect from the people around us. Let me make that clearer because that's hard to digest. You pay attention to Instagram posts, you pay attention to Facebook posts, you're on social media. If you're not, then I don't know how you found your way here. You are quite aware that everybody was thrust into that space. Half the people who were thrust into that space never had to worry about that space. How do you think they adapted to having to talk to people that they're used to seeing every day on a screen? Oh, it's not as fun. We're not in the same scenario. We're not in the same situation. Girl, I don't really feel like going out. Well, I could call you now because you'll always be home. Oh, you're in my life now. You were unable to set a normal boundary, and this is of course added on top of like jobs, work from home, all that. That'll be another conversation at another time about another thing, like, but that's a thing too. But just on the personal level, you might have been ready for it, but they weren't. They might have been ready for it, but you definitely weren't, because things got weird for you when you realized that a lot of the people that you kept around, you were keeping around in very specific areas of knowledge. I do not care about your politics. That's because you're my drinking buddy, and we're able to talk about how shitty work was and all the people in our lives. We don't have time to devolve into that. Now, you and I don't have it. You might have needed that as a release. I might have needed that as a habit. We both don't have it. What else is there to talk about? You hear what that guy on TV said, our president, Donald Trump? Relationships. See, things are political whether you want them to be or not. COVID should have given you this example. This is, in fact, emotional damage. This is, in fact, delivered onto every human being on planet Earth, and not enough people said, hold up, before we just try to keep things the same. Everybody all right? Everybody good? No, you were expected to perform the same. So those who couldn't handle it became more emotional, more attached. Those who could handle it became more detached. The gap between what we value and what we can get and what we receive out of relationships spread further away. Now we're at an impasse. Now we're somewhere we don't want to be. Because if you were around for that panel, a great thing that I believe they are in the chat right now. Everybody's a they now. I'm not even trying this. I'm not even trying this. It doesn't matter if you didn't do it before. You're here now. And isn't it funny that that should just have been the way it was? We're all in this together because there's no choice for us to be in it together. But what we value out of relationships shifted without our control. Therefore, it's the other person's fault that they left. Which it is. But it's also your fault. It's also my fault. It's everybody's fault. Because who really sat you down and said, whoa, before you do that thing, maybe re examine your social contract real quick. Maybe re-examine your desire to push forward in a way that makes you feel comfortable. Nope. that stretches into capitalism. See, this is why I want this to be a series, because this is actually what like these thoughts lead to. Because I, as a human being, I, as a person in this country, I, as a black man, refuse to believe that anyone in any given time wants to be suffering. Can't be that way. But nobody likes this type of conversation because it's not objective, it's subjective. I'm strong, I'm an alpha male. The only reason you categorize yourself as an alpha male is because you found out that your girlfriend was only dealing with you because you were able to take her places, as she would go sleep with other men afterwards. Once she had no use for you because there was no need for travel, the other dudes just came and picked her up or came to her house and it was late. See, that's emotional damage. Who were you going to talk about it? Your usual spots, all of them are closed. What you got out of relationships, even with inanimate things, relationships with habits, all changed without your permission. And you didn't recognize it at first because you thought of them as just things to do. You had to examine your relationship with what you got out of the world. The segmented age that you were in gave you a path that allowed you to choose certain things, and then a bunch of them got taken away. If you're 5 years old, that shit would kill you. If you're an 8 year old who just got his Xbox taken away, it's game over for you. You're a young 11-year-old girl who's just starting to learn guitar, and now that everybody's inside the house and the parents have no money, we have to pawn that guitar. You are broken. You are 28 years old. And you just lost all contact with everyone that kept you just grounded enough that your depression didn't land you in a hole. But you can call them, I was already online. I just had no need for that. Not me, but like, I just had no need for that. I had no need because I could always just go out. People were around, things were happening. I could take pictures. I could go to my favorite yogurt shop. I could get lost on the train and just write. I could go see my friend on the train. There was no concern over even traveling to do nothing. Now there's a concern. You, my friend, have just become your own worst enemy. And on top of that, you've got an entire group of people in the places you live telling you, I don't live in fear. No, I don't live in fear. So then your friends start dying. Your relationship with what brings you comfort is now not only leaving your life cycle, your daily life routine, but they're leaving your life altogether. I wish I had one more Discord call with them. You can't even get a hangout. Your relationship with death changes now. If all your relationships change in the middle of one of the most pivotal moments in your life, one of the most pivotal times of growth, let's say the beginning of puberty, let's say 17 graduating high school and going to college, let's say 21 and graduating college, let's say your 29th birthday and you're turning 30, you're 40, 50, some big event, you got a new job in a new country, and everything shuts off. What do you do? What can you do? Them God fearing people, you know, they gonna tell you. Book of Job. Book of Job. We gotta continue to love and praise God because somehow this was a thing that needed to happen. Cool. You're gonna get your rational thinkers who are gonna tell you, we all just follow the rules, it'll all be fine. If we just practice being safe and realizing what information we're being given to us is practical and use that to or implement that in our daily routine, we should all be good after a period of time. The CDC at no point ever said you couldn't go outside. People were afraid of going outside. Why? Their relationship with exiting their house changed. There needed to be a reason beyond what you normally would consider a reason. I am not going to the park, even though you could, as long as you stayed away. And once people started recognizing, like, yeah, I could go to the park, there's nobody here. Like, I could just run for a little bit. Remember, we got the things about running at night just to make sure nobody was really going to be around? Like, we could have set something up. Our relationship with wanting to care past a certain point also got cut off, changed, eroded. This virus broke a social contract, and you don't even know which new one's been written. Because on one side, you're just like, I don't want to die nor catch this thing that's bad. You know it's real because you've probably seen it, heard about it, or been around somebody who's dealt with it, or got it. On the other hand, there's a group of people that say, regardless of that, we should just be like normal. They'll throw everything in your face to tell you everything's gonna be fine. But that's not true. Because don't we hate Andrew Cuomo for all the stuff with the nursing homes? Those people had names though. You do recognize that. Those people had families. You do recognize that. Our relationship with other people's pain eroded. Changed all for the what? Better, good, worse? Who knows? At the end of the day, you think even in a turmoil state, you would still have the ability to feel something. Our relationship with empathy just destroyed because not enough people were talking about it in a way that connected to people. You had celebrities singing songs on TikTok and Instagram. You had John Krasinski starting a YouTube channel with a show to share good news when, like, anyone could. We're going to get to that. You had more content creators trying to push more web series and things like that to keep people entertained. You had the president of the United States still like being mean to people. You still had police officers killing people. In the midst of a pandemic, people still gotta die. We're all in this together. Except for the thugs. Except for the hardened criminals. Except for Meemaw and Pawpaw. Except for a couple of your friends who believe the virus isn't real. Except for that one teacher you met who decided that she was going to be anti vax. And even though she never said anything about it, she was vocal about it on Facebook. Then she died 3 months later. Same virus killed her that she didn't want to get vaccinated for. And under the post, it's going to say, how can we be sure it was COVID-19? The doctors just want the medical funds. The doctors just want the medical toms. The doctors need theirs. Let's clang our pans. I got something better. I could do better. Let's clang our pans for the medical workers. Forget like that every other system of essential workers had to keep going in order for the medical workers to do their thing. They wasn't getting claps though. They was getting clapped. My father said something to me that broke me. I still like haven't processed it yet because it was the same thing I said to y'all. And I remember somebody said, I don't get it. What does a Joker arc mean? Like, you don't see how this could create like animosity. Why should I participate? Why should I participate in this game where we don't feel anything anymore? That's not me. I walk out of here with a smile on my face, and there are people actively trying to take it away. There are systems in place trying to actively take that away. Why is that? Why do we want to live in a place like that? Because COVID destroyed our relationship with the future. See, relationships can even mean as little as the intangible objects that you always use every day, all the way to the people that you would literally take a bullet for. The ideals that the hills you will die on. And all in between that, the love, the anger, the hate, they're all part of routines and relationships that you have developed. And now all of them have different meaning. And nobody sat you down and said, maybe that isn't good for you to ingest. Maybe that's not good for everybody to ingest. Maybe that's not something we should be doing. Maybe how about we take the first month, 2 months, pay everyone to stay home, and let's just do mental health help. But when you say mental health, it's like, I don't have a problem. All right, how about we do something to make sure people still feel connected with one another? How about we do that? How about we figure out a way to transport like cars? This would have been that echo. But like our transportation systems don't even support being able to let less people on per train ride to go see people. How about we figure out building shuttles? So like the people who have to go from one place to another, they can all go to where they gotta go, and they never like building shuttles, and they're all in the same building. So if one case is detected there, we can contact like there's methods that we could have implemented. But it all comes down to you and the relationship that you have with whatever you had right before March of 2020. And I feel weird about it, and it makes me sad. Because these people will throw lessons in your face about how life is difficult. And I'm like, but nobody here has experienced this before. What, Betty White was one of the people to experience this? Like, and even she gone. We did the same thing we always do. I had a friend of mine pass away from a car accident. Same thing they always do. Every person I've had that's died this last 2 years, same thing they always do. Rest in peace. You was a real one. I'm gonna miss you forever. Let's talk about something else tomorrow. How you process things that fast, bro? How did you get there? Is it too much for you to handle? Why won't you say that? Because nobody needs to know about that personal stuff. Yeah, but if everybody's going through it and nobody's saying anything about it, you don't think that causes more problems? You don't want to be the one to speak out because you don't want to be the one to hold the emotional weight of opening that door? Well, guess what? Nobody's opening that door. Nobody's living in that house anymore. Nobody. Nobody's living in that house anymore. So, what are you worried about? What are you scared of? Oh, I forgot. We missed something. I mean, no, we didn't. This is part of the thing. But just let me have my moment, my actor moment, okay? We forgot to talk about our relationship with our emotions. I said relationships can be as tiny and insignificant as making sure you got a duster for your heater every 2 days. What's your relationship with anger? Where do you go to let that off? What's your relationship with depression? What space did you use to escape from it for just a second? You lost that too, didn't you? That shit hurt. Emotional damage. realizing that you're talking to a lot of people. You're talking to a lot of people, and none of them give a shit about you. So what's the solution? Is that what you want? Is that what you care about so much? Is that what you want? I'll tell you what, I've got plenty of solutions, but they all come down to one thing. And I think that's the thing I want you to take away from this. It doesn't matter what you feel, it doesn't matter how sad you are, how happy you are. The one thing I want you to have is the knowledge that I'm happy you made it here, because a lot of people didn't. A lot of people didn't. And out of that erosion of all those people you've come to know who don't really care about you and what you feel and the things you're starting to do to try to make money in this terrible capitalistic society you live in, you will find those who support you now. Because now you have a wider array. You might only get one true best friend, but that's one less person on this planet you got to worry about. Your relationships might have changed with your identity, your friendships, the way you converse about ideals. But remember, you got those people in the first place. There are definitely people who will match with you now. The only question is how much work are we as a group going to put in to make sure that this shifts in the right direction? To make sure that every time we're confronted with this reality that we don't go ape shit and just say, fuck it all. Progress. We need to ask ourselves, what have I found? Do I actually like it? Or is it keeping me comfortable? And believe you me, one of the most positive things about COVID is we rarely, if ever, keep things around that are really, really terrible for us. We might get duped a lot easier now because, like, I'm reaching out for anybody. But we're able to recognize this more. We're able to call it out more. We're able to hold the negative things that we used to bypass as accountable now. And that's cool. You do it by default. You're on social media, your opinions are kind of whatever the trending topic is, right? I mean, for the very, very surface level of stuff. But even that can get deep, can it? Even you can explore that a little bit more. Because you click that trending and oh, I follow that guy and oh, that community's cool and oh, I got a little bit of time now that I'm at home more to check that out. Hey, I might not know you guys personally, but at least I can converse about what I feel and not feel threatened. I have safe spaces that I never had to look for because I never knew they existed. That's good. That's great. Maybe the biggest positive from COVID and how it changed our relationships is that it gave us less to think about. It's got to make me happy for the simplest things because God, will I not deal with complexity right now? I've got enough shit to worry about. Yeah, that might make us a little bit more isolated. I mean, there's a lot less reasons to worry about if that girl you just met at the party is hooking up with your boyfriend in the bathroom. Because we don't go to parties anymore. We don't put ourselves in situations that we can't control. Matter of fact, if you just flipped everything, you've pretty much gained more control than you've lost. Now, if it were up to the assholes who are like keeping this pandemic going, then that's gonna be for a whole other conversation. But like, yes, that's also in the back of my head. It's like even this ain't even really in your control. But like, what you go out for now? Do you feel a need to just do mindless shit? You do mindless shit at home and you chill. Then you come here to get your paradigm shifted. That's episode 1. If you're on YouTube right now, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell to stay notified. I don't know when the fuck I'm doing episode 2. This shit was hard to script out. I only got like 8 notes here. Like, fuck you. I'm bread tube videos. That's where we're at now.